very first thing I did was start singing in the church choir. And the Baptist church that I went to had a live band. So after a couple years singing in the choir, I started, I don't know if it was from that or what, but I wanted to learn to play guitar. And a couple of those guys sat down with me and showed me some stuff. And I don't know what, a few months later, I quit going to church.
Something in the water taught me how to crawl. Something in the water taught me how to fall.
4, 3, 2, 1. Hey, how you doing? We're Something in the Water podcast with Sean Clark and Dave Griffin, Caution Light Media, Justin Mercer, and our guest today is Andy Johnson, my good pal from Thomaston, Georgia, working musician. He's been in a band called Royal Johnson, and now he's doing some solo stuff and some new recordings. Got a baby on the way. He's got all kind of stuff to talk about. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm glad to be down here hanging out with y'all.
Good to have you, buddy.
So, you got a baby on the way.
Any day now. Due February 19th, but she doesn't think she's going to make it that far. I don't either. So,
And
we'll see. I hope I make it that far.
Christy?
Caitlin.
Caitlin. Close. I met your wife. Me and Lynn, my wife, met your wife at the Hummingbird this past November when you and I were on the bill up there for the Georgia Roots Rock Showcase.
Yep.
It's put on every November by old
Daniel Neesmith.
Daniel Neesmith.
And you're recording with him right now?
Yep, recording at his home studio called Sky South. Really cool spot, big building out behind his house. Kind of just taking it slow and building the songs track by track and experimenting with sounds and seeing what we can come up with. I mean, I've got several song ideas, so just trying to make them sound like what I'm hearing. You know, it's always a challenge.
Are you using the same band on every track, or are you bringing in different people for different songs?
Every song's
different approach.
Yep. So
That's
we've got
awesome.
Rusty Bridgers doing some stand up so far.
Cool.
Daniel has recorded some banjo, and he and I both have recorded some vocals, and that's about as far as we've got. I've done some acoustic guitar tracks, and like I say, we did some percussion. That's right. Had Boo Boo Robinson come down and do some washboard, some shakers, and cajon.
Cool.
So,
I saw some pictures.
yeah.
I don't think I realized that was Rusty on the upright.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah. Okay.
The pajamas might have fooled you.
Yeah. He was wearing pajamas.
Rusty.
I can't remember.
He came in and he had heard the songs I think once before, and I kind of went through them and stood beside him and kind of told him what was about to happen and he went through it once or twice and just nails it. You know, he's pretty cool dude.
Yes,
I like
he
Rusty.
is.
He's
He's a wild man.
Yeah.
So when do you expect the CD to be finished?
No expectation. It's going to be a while. May even do like a couple EPs instead of one big release. Just depends on how fast we can get them done. I'd say we're still a good ways off. We're still just really playing around. Everything that's on there right now is probably going to be redone.
I gotcha.
So it's all kind of just test run stuff. All the songs were written.
So you're not even keeping anything you recorded
We're
yet?
keeping everything, but I just doubt that anything is the what we would say is good enough to keep for the CD. I don't know.
I'm assuming I heard some of these new songs. I've heard some new songs of yours.
You have heard some of the songs. They were all written solo acoustic for the first time ever. I've always before had the band and written with a full band in mind. So like, I guess it's a totally different approach. Whereas this time I had no band. All I had was the acoustic guitar in mind, and so putting the other parts together is kind of an experiment. Whereas before I kind of knew going into it what I wanted. So, but it's fun this way.
I like the new songs.
Yeah, Daniel's real creative, and he's got an awesome space to work in. We're able to walk in there and get to work really quick, and looking forward to whatever we can come up with.
Yeah, man, me too.
I've heard you sing live, of course, many times, and heard Roy Johnson's material, and very funky, blues, rock, very soulful. It's a good mixture. How did you start out in this business, this music? What was your inspiration to play? Back when?
Very first thing I did was start singing in the church choir, and the Baptist church that I went to had a live band. So after a couple of years singing in the choir, I started. I don't know if it was from that or what, but I wanted to learn to play guitar. And a couple of those guys sat down with me and showed me some stuff. And I don't know what. A few months later, I quit going to church. Joined the band. I was in a class my senior year, and there was a group of guys that had a band that had parties every weekend that I knew about, but they didn't have a singer. They just jammed out classic rock and 90s alternative tunes, and nobody sang. It was just everybody was hanging out, partying, and having a good time. And they were like, "You got to come sing." So I went and tried it out, and I already knew most of the songs that they were doing. The words anyway. I had to learn everything. That was definitely kick-started my guitar playing, because at that point I was just trying to put chords together and instantly having to know 30 songs or whatever. So played with a music stand the first several gigs at this guy's backyard. But I think the first 2 or 3 gigs I sang through like a 10-inch speaker, like a little amp, guitar amp.
Oh yeah,
for a PA.
Yeah. I heard some stories about Dave.
You just make do.
Yeah.
Whatever you can. It's funny to me that many people who wound up playing devil's music started out
in church,
in the church.
Yeah.
So,
I did too. When he said that, I was like, "Well, hell, that was." That was the first time I sang.
I don't mean that. Yeah. Don't mean that literally, because I love rock and roll, and I don't consider it the devil's music at all, even though Jerry Lee Lewis still does. And well, you look at all the Aretha Franklin's daddy was a minister. Ray Charles caught hell for going pop. Because all of the music, the music that he started out playing, and tell me what I see, all that stuff. All of his early recordings were just picked right out of the church as far as what they were doing in the church musically, and just change the lyrics to it. That's all.
A lot of rock music, country music, blues music, and gospel music deals a lot with right and wrong, black and white. So you can see it's
a constant struggle.
Yeah, I mean, somebody like Blind Willie McTell, he played in juke joints on Saturday night, and he preached on Sunday morning.
Right.
So probably still smelling like liquor, from the night before. So
yeah,
there's always been something there. It's like I don't know. It's an inspiration for people. The contrast.
Yeah, well, it's a tension. It's rubbing right against each other, and it's yielded some great music.
Yeah, I always, even it's like a subconscious thing, but like when writing songs, like my mind always goes back to those kind of chord progressions or that thing, and it's like a Hank Williams thing, or it's like whatever, but it's like my parents' church they still do the old hymns, and when I go, I'm like that progression right there, that one there. It's some good stuff.
It's good to fall back on, Yeah.
Tradition.
That's some good stuff. So, so you sang in the Baptist church choir?
I did.
Yeah.
After a couple years, I started taking a few solos here and there, leading the choir on a couple songs,
Wow.
and next thing I know, I was in a band. So,
That's great.
It's all downhill from there.
yeah, and I've been chasing something ever since then. I don't know what.
Yeah.
Once you get a taste of it, it'll run you dry.
Well, I never did sing in the church choir, but I did go to a Baptist church right here in Waycross, and it's funny because I never considered myself a singer. I didn't pick up the guitar till I was about 18, so being raised in the church, 13, 14, 15, 16 years old, I was sitting in the congregation, and I remember one Sunday when I put it all together, I had the old Baptist hymnal out there in front of me, and you got your treble clef and your bass clef, and then there's notes on each one, And I started listening to the choir, and, I noticed they had the ladies that sung real high, and the guy in the back corner, Junior Martin, that sang bass. And then you had those in between, and I started watching the notes and listening to them different voices, and that's really contributed a lot to my ear for harmony singing, because eventually I did start singing and in bands and stuff, and I owe a lot to that old Baptist hymnal, for kind of bringing me up. Of course, I loved harmony groups when I was growing up too. I mean, it's like every stage of the way. It was like from Marty Robbins in El Paso with the Glazer brothers singing those beautiful harmonies on that. Then you got the Beach Boys. Then the Beatles hit. Then the Eagles. I mean, it was like I would really grab hold of the harmony groups that inspired me and listen to them, and then getting that from the Baptist hymnal and everything kind of paved the way for me to be in harmony groups myself.
You're a great harmony singer, so.
Well, I strive, but I hear it. I hear it in my head, and it's.
You wouldn't have been for Ethel back there on page 122.
Yeah. I was when you were telling that story, I was like, yeah, I heard all those things. I'm like, oh, he's singing low, and he's looking at the notes, but people were singing in our church weren't that great. So it was like, whoa, hang on.
Well, that's the beauty of it.
That was that's even cool. Like how bad it was like something good.
Well, as bad as some of it was, it's still a heap lot better than what they've got out now in the churches with the big screen televisions and everybody standing up and with the soulless rendition of. I mean, they're like zombies standing out there singing the same lines over and over and over ad nauseum, And it's like, give me a little bit of, I don't know, give me some I'll Fly Away and all those great hymns from, but they look upon that now as regressive, I guess. I don't know. It's beautiful to me. I wouldn't trade anything in the world for those old hymns.
Yeah, me too. I'm glad my parents' church is still singing them.
You've been performing in churches quite a bit in your parents' church.
Yeah, they get me about twice a year. They're like, hey, it's Mother's Day. Like, all right, I'll get, I come in Saturday night, 6 in the morning, 5 in the morning from wherever we just played, and I'll be there at 9 in the morning to set up the speakers and all.
Well, that's admirable.
But it's it's worth it in the end. But
yeah,
man, one of my all-time favorite singers, man. You got I always say you got the golden voice.
Oh my Lord,
I do. I mean, I love Dave too. I mean, Dave is just.
I love you too.
Well, but you got it's just the fact that you got the whole making thing going. I mean, Thompson, but it's a Allman Brothers thing, but I've heard other people try to imitate, but you're not even trying to be, and I feel like you just are. Like, you just got a good thing. And, you know, we've done some shows together, and I'm like, why is this guy playing guitar with us? Why am I singing right now and this guy's over here? You got a good, I wanted to say that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I don't take compliments very well, so I don't know what to say. But
why don't you play us a song? Play us that song that. Tell us about the. You've been going to Mexico the past few years.
yeah, having that guitar in there. Yeah. So I went to Mexico the last two, not this January, but the last 2 Januaries, and participated in a little festival there. And one night last year, we was partying and singing, and we had one acoustic guitar we was passing around, and we were singing about 30-part harmonies, I think, on some songs, and we got into a pretty good groove of Graham Parsons, and it was at once declared.
You're in Mexico playing Graham Parsons songs.
This is just at a house.
That's wild. That's just wild, man.
I wasn't playing them. We all were. Everybody was.
But there was people there that was not.
This was just all musicians that were there performing for the festival.
And y'all
late at night, and
came in on some.
We all started jamming, and we got into somebody started playing Graham Parsons, and it was like, well, I know this one, and well, I know this, and
wow.
So anyway, we had our own guitar pool.
Awesome.
But this song was kind of about. At some point, it was declared that nothing but Graham Parsons was allowed in that house.
I want to be at that party.
So,
is this a song? This is a song that you wrote.
Yes, this is a true story, and it took a couple weeks later processing what all had happened, but this is a little song I wrote about it. It's called 500 Pesos to Oz. Well, we had big plans, but it decided to rain all day in the desert, so we decided it would be the same. If we stayed here together till the Mexican morning, that'd blow your mind. Just picking on the guitars and singing along until the red sunrise at our house in Mexico. Go down a dusty road back to Mexico with my friends and my brothers and even some other folks that we don't know. And we'll all eat together and we'll fly to the places only cool folks know. Like birds from the weather, and we'll be as loyal as your own Perro on the streets of Mexico. Psychedelic guitar comes in. Oh, I long to go down a dusty road back to Mexico with my friends and my brothers and even some other folks that we don't know. And we'll all eat together and we'll fly to the places only cool folks know. Like birds from the weather, and we'll be as loyal as your own Perro on the streets of Mexico. Such disdain for any highfalutin cricket I've seen a little fame. And ooh, Casa Sul said only Graham Parsons isn't allowed up under that roof. Well, I woke up in Mexico with all my friends. It was a magical morning, yeah, and I'm so glad to be back again. Love without a warning, and I'm so glad that I found this place. After thirsting through the desert, hoping for tomorrow, but in love with today. And our house in Mexico. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah.
All right.
I love a good whistle song.
Those are mariachi horns.
That was great.
Oh, you're not going to do the whistle?
I don't know, maybe.
Man, you got to whistle with the horns.
Whistle in there.
I love that whistle.
That only is that going to be on the?
That is. That's the first
Good.
one we started working
Good.
I
on.
hope so, man.
Good.
I love that song.
It's already got bass and banjo and washboard on it.
Hell yeah.
Which I said, hey, do you need some thimbles? I was meant to tell you this.
Thimbles.
He had to procure a washboard for Boo Boo to do the tracks with, because he didn't have one.
Oh, okay. Washboard thimbles.
Yeah, and he's like, no, I need a hanger. Played it with a bent up coat hanger. Never seen that before.
Wow.
All over it.
Cool. Who did that?
Boo Boo,
Boo Boo.
Kenneth Robinson. He played drums
I know
with
him.
the last incarnation of Roy Johnson.
Oh, okay.
Y'all had a.
Yeah, that played at Swamp Town. That guy.
He was there. Okay.
I knew Kenneth Robinson name. I hadn't heard Boo Boo yet.
Royal Johnson. Wasn't there a female drummer at one time? in that
The
band?
very first drummer was female, yes.
Yeah.
Miss Joni Ferguson, yep.
Yeah. Cool.
And it was Chance Royal and Andy Johnson.
Chance Royal and Andy Johnson,
that
Chance R.I.P. He passed away last March, unfortunately.
Yeah, Chance was a good guy.
Awesome guy. And
How long did you know Chance?
Oh,
Were y'all friends before the band? That's what I don't
Well,
know. Like,
he's from Thomaston, but he is about 5 years older than me, so we didn't know each other from like school or anything. Around the time I was probably about 10 years ago, I was playing in a band from Thomaston, and he was playing in a Macon band called Mystery Road, and
I heard of that.
their singer and second guitarist like quit, so they hired me, and basically I joined Mystery Road, and that was how I met Chance. I had barely known him a few months before that.
And you hired on as a singer or the
As a singer and rhythm
Guitar
guitarist, yeah. And they were an established band in Macon already, with a lot of gigs already on the books. And I was again playing catch up, with another band, and played with them probably 4 or 5 years. Me and Chance got real close. We were both from Thomaston. Everybody else in the band was from Macon. So we rode to practices and all the gigs together and stuff. And I left Mystery Road. About a year or two later, he left Mystery Road. And we were both kind of sitting around in Thomaston. And I approached him in like 2015 or 2016 and wanted to record some demos I had. And that was basically the start of Roy Johnson. And I went and recorded some scratch tracks. I came back a couple weeks later. He had recorded all these ideas on top of it, and I was like, whoa, we got a lot to process here. So we went back and started putting an album together, and then the next thing you know, we were like, man, we got to find a band to play all these parts we're coming up with and stuff. So,
y'all had 2 albums, right?
2 full albums and 2 EPs.
2 EPs. Mm-hmm. And everybody can find it where? Is it all on Spotify and Amazon?
Yeah, it's everywhere you can find music. Yep. Royal Johnson. Yep. We did our first album, Bellyful, at Chance's house. Mostly just me and him. We recorded all the parts, and then we went back and had somebody do drums. And we had Kevin Vines do bass on about half of it. The other half is me and Chance playing bass.
Oh, really? I didn't know that part.
Yep.
Wow, cool.
and then after that, Kevin joined the band, and then Kevin suggested Joni. So then, by the time the second album came around, we did it at Paul Hornsby's studio. He was known for being an engineer at Capricorn and producer at Capricorn back in the day, and played on a lot of records by Marshall Tucker and Charlie Daniels, and even played in the Hourglass with Greg and Dwayne Allman. So that, it was really cool to go work with him.
Heck yeah.
And did our second album with him, and thought we made a lot of improvements.
I love both albums, but the second album I listen to it all the time.
Well, it helps to have somebody that knows what the hell they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Me and Chance, when
That
we did
does
the
help.
first one at his house, we were just, well, let's try the microphone right here, or let's try it over here. And Paul knew. Like,
Yeah.
he made us. We had to use his drum kit when we came in because he already had it dialed in. You know? It's like, well, why would you mess with that? I'm like, this guy knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, he's some of that making royalty, that Capricorn royalty from back in the day. One of the I've been hosting the Graham Parsons Guitar Pool, since 1998, and one year, I believe it was 2005 or so, I had Bonnie Bramlett was scheduled to be the headliner of Delaney and Bonnie. And she was going through a hard time there. And about 2 weeks from the festival date, I got a call from Paul Hornsby. And he said that I got some bad news. In fact, Paul, along with several other great Capricorn musicians, were to be her backup band. It's called the Capricorn Rhythm Section. It's Paul Hornsby, Johnny Sandlin, Scott Boyer, Tommy Talton, and the drummer, I can't remember his name, but he played with Cowboy, one of the old Macon bands. Well, Paul Hornsby called me up about 2 weeks out and said, Bonnie is not going to be able to make it. And he said, we got a couple of options, though. I'll help you through this the best I can. And he said, we can either do Delaney and Bonnie's daughter, Becca Bramlett, or we can do Jimmy Hall, the lead singer for Wet Willie. And nothing against Becca and everything, but I was looking at it from the standpoint of recognition, and people around South Georgia my age would probably know exactly who Wet Willie and Jimmy Hall was.
Yes.
A lot sooner than they would Becca Bramlett.
Yeah.
So Paul Hornsby helped us pull through that situation. He's a great guy, and part of that Capricorn royalty. That
was a good show too.
It was a good show. It was a little less relevance to Graham Parsons, so to speak, but it was very soulful.
He's a great player. He's got some killer equipment at his studio, and he was more than willing to jump in on a few songs. There were some where we wanted him to play, and he said no. He was like, no, it doesn't need anything else, and
He
whatever
produced.
you say. Mm-hmm. And he had the B3 and Wurlitzer he used in the Hourglass.
Wow.
It has stencils on it. It took 45 minutes to warm it up. We got in there and it was like
45 minutes.
like the wheels were squeaking bad. And he's like, well, let's just go in there and listen to some cuts for a while. And we come back in there and it was still
So
whining.
he played on that first album? Or
Yeah,
the
he
second
plays
album?
on 2 or 3 songs on
What
there.
do you think about it? The Wurlitzer and the Leslie and everything was like 40, 50 years old.
Yeah. And his studio is really cool, and it was awesome just going in there and hoping that he would want to talk or tell some kind of, not wanting to press him, or be a fanboy too much, but like having him open up and tell some stories and stuff was really neat. And, have him to even suggest ideas, like we'd be recording and he'd come in and say, all right, you need to, I can't remember which song it was, but he totally changed the drum beat that we had rehearsed up. And he was like, it's just not something. He's like, come in here and listen to it if you want to, but it's just not. And, and we talked about it for a while, and it was like, I need to fucking listen to him,
So he laid some production down on y'all.
Oh, yeah. He changed a few things, and harmonies and stuff like that. I had brought some people in to do harmonies, and he was like, no, y'all come in here. And we sat down at the piano, and he's like, you do this part.
Wow.
Do this part. That's pretty neat.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But just to even have him care enough to want to change it, was pretty neat to me. So.
Yeah, sometimes you go into situations like that, and they don't care.
Yeah, give me the money.
They don't care that you're sucking. Yeah. They're just like, another hour, just, know. But when you got somebody that's going to put in the, no, you boys need to, we had that, and I was in a band, Jack Cadillac, and we went to Dallas and recorded, and Sam Taylor, who's amazing, he actually videoed the first, or the 80s ZZ Top videos. He was the, got the key and the car and doing the same moves. That was all Sam Taylor. That was him that came up with all that. And he actually came up, we need a keychain and all this stuff. Anyway, he's an amazing keyboard player and a pianist. And we went there and recorded, and we didn't know who he was or nothing. We just met him. And he's just like, yeah, this song's good, but what if we take that middle part and we make that the intro, in the outro, and y'all, that other part y'all got, it's not working, just take that out or whatever. And sometimes you're like, well, why didn't, and it wasn't a thing of like us getting pissed off about it. It was like, wow, that is so obvious, and why didn't we think of it?
Well, because you've heard it a million times already. And sometimes it just takes a fresh set of ears of somebody that's not afraid to just say something when it sounds weird. Like your friends will be like, "Oh, that sounds great, man! That's the best song you've ever wrote." Scared
to say anything, or don't know to say anything because they don't know what they're what they're listening to.
That's what a producer gets paid for.
Yeah,
I mean, looking back in the classic days of music, because it's all changed so much now. George Martin and Tom Dowds, and
it's those guys that have made recordings happen.
Well, they changed.
Yeah.
The output of the musicians. They actually changed it for the better. In a lot of cases. So Sam was producing out there.
Yeah, he was producing.
Yeah, and didn't y'all have Jamie Oldacker?
Jamie Oldacker, yeah.
Didn't he play on some of it?
Yeah. What was funny is we were going out there and we had Dylan Crosby, and he was 17, I think.
He was young. Yeah.
Young, and our main drummer wouldn't go. He's like, y'all got to pay me to go, and I got to get this or whatever. And no names mentioned.
First of all.
But so my buddy's little brother was a badass drummer, and he could play the hard stuff, but he couldn't play the easy stuff. He couldn't play the 4 on the floor.
Yeah,
it was if it was too easy, he got off or whatever. And he was young, and he was amazing drummer, Dylan Crosby. And then we went out there, and I said, look, we've only been practicing with him for a few weeks, and the guys involved said, we'll have a drummer lined up. And we got out there, and they're like, this is Jamie Oldacker. And I was like, hey, how you doing? Well, Jamie Oldacker, when he was 16, he played on Ed Sullivan. I don't know what performance or who he was playing with then, but then he played with Clapton for like 20 or 30 years, and currently playing with Bob Seger for 30 or 40 years. We're like, dude, what? He's like, oh, that live version of Turn the Page? Oh, that was me. That was me. He even played with Ace Frehley's Comet. Like, and he told a funny story about that, about showing up and he's like, I got this badass set, and that was, like from a company that was sponsored to him and all this stuff. And the hoops were wood grain. And they're like, what is this country music? What is this country bullshit drum set you got? You got to get them wood frames off of there and get you some black ones or whatever. But he was just, it was this gig at the time or whatever. He was a great guy. Yeah. And he came in there and just tore it up, and it was a pleasure to play with him.
I remember reading a story about Jamie Oldacker when he was playing with Eric Clapton. He went to England and was staying, I think they may have been staying in George Harrison's.
No, he was staying.
He was staying at Eric
I told
Clapton.
you this story.
You told me this story. I didn't read it.
Yeah.
I heard it. Tell that story.
One of those audio books.
He's young.
Great.
He's
That's
like
great.
he's like 20-something probably. He's playing. He just started playing with Eric Clapton. He goes and stays at Eric Clapton's mansion, and he's like, one of the first nights there, I'm like laying in bed going, I'm in Eric Clapton's mansion, and can't even sleep. He's just so enthralled with just and the door flies open, and there's a silhouette of somebody holding like a mandolin, playing a mandolin. He's like, hey, where's the asshole? And he's like, it was George Harrison. And all he could get out of his mouth was, you're one of them. That's all he could say to him. And he's like, yeah, where's the asshole? And he's like, he's down the hall.
Oh. Who was the asshole, Eric?
Eric. He was looking for Eric. But
he was probably calling him an asshole because he stole his bride.
yeah.
No.
Probably why.
No, they traded.
Yeah.
His autobiography is great. You ever read that? Clapton's?
I hadn't.
Very good.
Is that new?
Not very new. No.
Well, I need to get that.
10
I need to get
years
that.
old.
Yeah, I should have known about that.
What's it called? Yeah.
No idea. But he, I thought it was remarkable how much he was able to remember from his getting messed up days and be able to
When did
reflect
that
on
stop?
why he did the things he did
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
And that was a lot of years, I mean, and a lot of different vices,
Yep, he's able to remember all. I don't know if he went through journals or friends' collections or what, but it was pretty neat. That
Probably
he was
a lot
able
of
to.
it's documented.
It's almost like he as a psychologist view of his life. Like he was able to reflect. Well, this is why I am the way I am because of these things that happened to me.
I don't know. You wonder.
It's like you, man.
How's your memory?
Mine is.
How's your memory?
Mine is sucky, and yours.
I don't think it's
if
that
anybody-
bad with any of us.
If
Really,
anybody that I know,
I think if you
remember
were to
certain
sit
stories.
down and really focus in and just train you, kind of like a psychology session or something.
Dave tells
you'll be
us-
able to train your
No.
mind into saying, okay, now this. Is
Dave
what
tells
I
a
was
story, and
doing.
it's like there was a yellow dog, and it was a Thursday, and I turned to my right.
Now,
I'm
I
like,
did.
what?
Me and my wife did watch something about how badly you can misremember things.
Well, every
And
time you
misremember
remember
it.
people, even
Yeah.
in like capital murder cases that are closed for 30 years, they go and re-ask the same questions to the same witnesses, and they give totally different answers of what they remember, what they saw, because just your mind, it takes certain memories and
Did
replaces
you tell
them.
me that you were, you remember when you were born?
No.
We were just talking about that.
Yeah, I don't remember
I
that.
ain't never met anybody.
No, but
Tell us about it.
my family, my sister and my mom. Like I always say, I remember when I was
There
2
was a
and
light
this
at
happened.
the
Well,
end
we
of
were-
the tunnel.
And they all the joke is, you remember being born. Oh, it's you. You remember being born.
Well,
Well,
we were
excuse
talk-
me. You
yeah.
remember being born.
We were talking about that the other day because I was telling him that I had very few memories when I was like anything before 5.
Yeah.
I don't-
Okay.
And he was like, I remember, being a toddler. And
I have a distinct memory, and I didn't know until a few years ago when I was looking back at pictures and saw myself in a coat with only my face sticking out. Like, was it Kenny?
Kenny.
And I saw the year, and I knew I was 2 years old. But I have this memory of being in the snow, and we were living in this trailer, which I know a year after that we had the house. But my dad hit me in the face with a snowball, and it went down my coat, inside my neck. And I remember it being the coldest, suckiest thing ever.
You've ever had.
And I have not liked snow since then. And
Early trauma.
I do remember early trauma.
It's a little bit traumatic, you know. I think that's my earliest memory as well.
I remember
getting hit in the face with a snowball.
No, well, I have 2 early traumatic memories.
Tell him.
No, well,
Well,
I
we
don't
gotta
even
leave
know.
one out.
I think they're about 3.5 years old, maybe 4. And that would be my earliest recollections of anything, really. Me and my brother and then a friend up the road on Dog Hill was standing in the driveway of our house, and he had a brand new bicycle, and this was back in probably 57 when bikes were made with steel, you know, titanium or whatever it was. It was like hard and heavy. And the little fenders, they used to have fenders that came over the front of the tire. And this guy's bicycle had a little head, Donald Duck's head, sitting right between the handlebars, and I was admiring that. And somehow the bike turned over and fell on me and cut me on the shoulder. The fender cut me on the shoulder. So that was my first memory of anything. It's trauma.
yeah.
And it hurt. It hurt bad.
You still scared of bikes?
No, but Donald Duck
I'm
is
still scared of
another thing.
cold.
I remember when I was 2, we moved into the house that my parents still live in. So, but I remember that house before then, which was a small house on Washington Avenue, and I remember I had a white teddy bear with like light blue paws and nose and stuff, and I remember throwing it down the hallway, and we had those gas heaters, and it landed in the grill and scorching the back of it, and I remembered that it was always scorched after that.
Hard.
So I guess that was trauma too.
It was trauma for the damn
And
bear.
I remember the bedroom having I had one of those big styrofoam gliders that you could throw.
Yeah.
It was hanging. It was like took up most of my room because it was so big.
So what do you think the earliest possible memory is?
Of individuals?
Yeah. How early can you remember something?
I had to be like 1.5
I think
or something.
it depends. It varies individually because I know a
remember
lot
it
of
was
people
real-
that can
it was
be,
real dark,
that
and then
can
it got-
quote you something from 2, you know, or even earlier than that.
Well, yeah, that what I'm talking about was before 2, so it
Yeah.
was 1.5.
Seems
or
like
something.
we'd be able to remember the doctor going,
Yeah, I remember
You know?
it was real dark, and then it got real bright.
it's light at the
And
end
it got real cold.
real
I was real warm, and I got real cold. And I was like, hell it is.
Real confusion.
Cheers.
Cheers. Take a break.
Yeah, let's take a break.
Something in my blood starts to take a hold. Something in my bones start to lose control. Something in the water gonna make me whole. Something in the water gonna make me see. Something in the water gonna set me free.
All right. Where do we go from there?
What have you been writing, Dave? You write like 3 songs a night.
It's all in the dreams.
Tell us about your songwriting process. How does a typical song come about for you? What is the normal?
Well, It ain't typical. I'll say that to start off with. Ain't no right or wrong way to write a song. And there's people that write all the books about how you do it from point A to point B. Wrong.
Wrong.
Well,
just go ahead and take that.
Well, there ain't no right or wrong way to write a song. That's what I'm saying.
That's
come
right.
to you. It'll come to you in a dream, or it'll
Sure.
come to you when you having your cup of coffee in the morning. It'll come to you when you're
Well, tell us one way how one came to you one time.
Oh God. Well, let's see.
Riding the lawnmower. Washing your beard.
I was combing my beard one night.
Yeah. A couple of times I've dreamed some lyrics, and happened to be at the rapid eye movement portion of the dream, which is right before you wake up. So I was lucky there. And first thing I did was roll over and grab my phone and sing froggily into the phone what I was singing in my dream. And it weren't but a line, you know, just a little line, but it yielded a whole song once I woke up and figured out what it was that I was singing. That's fun. That's always fun.
What was it? Can you play us
it was, let's see, it was called Honey, Let's Make Love Tonight.
Yeah. I know that one.
Can you do this on podcast? Can you sing about sex?
You can do whatever you want. I'm for it.
And
Are you okay with paying yourself copyright money?
You wrote the first verse in your sleep, or how much you wrote?
That was the first line of the second verse was what I dreamed, and then
Okay.
the rest just came together. Like two love bugs on an automobile, let's make hot love on a cool windshield. Ain't no secret about the way I feel. Honey, let's make love tonight. Like a humpback bull and a cut-tooth cow. Ain't no time like here and now. Don't ask why, don't ask how. Honey, let's make love tonight. Let's get a little dirty and take a bath together. Do what we can to make life better. Spring is sprung and the time is right. Honey, let's make love tonight. Like a big old skeeter on a bear behind, I can take a little bite and honey, I don't mind. You can scratch my itch if you're inclined. Honey, let's make love tonight. Let's get a little dirty and take a bath together. Do what we can to make life better. Spring is sprung and the time is right. Honey, let's make love tonight. Honey, let's make love tonight. Red grow the roses in the morning dew. The birds are doing it and the bees are too. All that leaves is me and you. So honey, let's make love tonight. Honey, let's make love tonight. Please, let's make love tonight.
Please.
Please.
Says only Uncle Dave had said.
Yes, sir.
That's good.
That's good.
And it's, that gets so much more important when you're 66.
That's catchy. That's catchy.
I mean,
Catchy, all right. But anyhow, I dreamt it.
You
I dreamt
dreamt.
this is what I dreamed. I said, like a humpback bull and a berry-toothed cow. That was actually the line that
That's
I
the
dreamed.
line.
And you remembered that when you woke up?
Oh, yeah, it was fresh.
That's a long
Say
line
it
to
again.
remember.
A humpback bull and a berry-toothed cow.
Like a humpback bull
And a berry-toothed cow. That's because cows eat berries, or do they?
Or
That's the only line you had.
A berry.
That was it. That was it.
A berry-toothed cow.
And
It sounds like something
and I
I've
figured,
heard.
that ain't right. So I changed it to like a humpback bull and a cud-toothed cow.
Cud-tooth.
Well, that's close enough.
It sings a whole lot better.
Yeah.
Well, dreams don't know best.
What
That's
about the
right.
dream that I had of
That was amazing.
I had a dream that you had a song that just
Yeah, you had the dream,
I had the dream
and
that you were
that
like
I wrote a song.
that you wrote a song that like just
called
rocketed you into stardom with this song. And it was
Called,
called "Sailing on a Sea of Cellophane," and I couldn't remember how the song went, but I remembered how it made me feel, and it was like, man, this is the best Dave song that is, and all your songs are good, but I'm like, Dave has done it with this one. He is. The stars have aligned, and I woke up and I told you what I remembered of it, which was "Sailing on a Sea of Cellophane," and then you wrote this song. You
Sailing on a Sea. So I went home because you told me that you dreamed I wrote "Sailing on a Sea of Cellophane." I went and wrote.
I want some
song.
credit on that.
That's what I'm talking about. Songwriting is a test for all of us songwriters. I mean, you got to get them where you get them.
No, for sure.
Sometimes you dream them. Sometimes they come out of the clouds. Sometimes you overhear somebody in the grocery line in front of you. Sometimes somebody comes up to you and says, "I had a dream that you wrote a song." But
well, I guess I better get on it.
I figured
And
that
here's
was,
the word.
I figured that was a song exercise.
I did.
For me to chase down, and so I chased it down. It goes something like this. No, I don't know. I don't know.
And what's crazy is you don't know it to play.
I
it.
can't sing that song.
Come
I'd have to
on.
have my book out because it's very intricate.
We got the internet.
It's psychedelic, and I wish. And this I'd like to say. I wish your dreams would come true because you said this song that catapulted me into money.
Of all the songs, this is the one.
Well, what's crazy is the song that you wrote made me feel the same way that I felt in the dream.
You've heard me sing this before?
Yeah.
Really?
Several times.
There it is.
Well, now I want to hear it.
And I'm like, well, damn, that is because all I remembered was the feeling that it made me feel. And then you wrote the song after I told you about it, and I didn't tell you how it made me feel. I just said, hey, I dreamed this, and then he wrote a song that made me feel the way I felt in the fucking dream.
There's something to this because I had a dream that I told a line to Dave, and he said that was a song, but I can't remember what it was.
Well, that's the part where you messed up.
Well, you see,
Y'all need to start fucking listening to Dave.
Dave has an energy. you
Yeah.
know?
No.
I don't dream that often. We did a podcast last week, and
When he speaks, you need to fucking listen.
Yeah, I had a dream like last night or the night before, and I was walking behind Dave, and I said something, and he turned around and said, "That's a song."
You need to just grab those
And
thoughts.
I can't remember what the
chicken foot.
line. I can't remember what the line.
Well,
is.
it's difficult, really.
Say
I
something.
mean, you're coming out of a dead sleep, and
Yeah.
you know how hard it is to remember dreams
I
normally.
normally don't
you know?
remember mine, but I remember that.
They are fresh when when I'm waking up, real fresh, to the point that I can lull my eyes back closed again and continue the dream.
Continue. I've done that
Yeah.
before.
You know, there are exercises to help you practice to be able to do that.
You can get some things on.
You can buy a book, and it tells you.
You can get like a mask, like a sleep mask that covers your eyes.
CPAP.
Not CPAP, but a sleep mask, and the cover your eyes from the light or whatever. But they'll have a light in them and you like press go. I guess when you're trying to lay down and go to sleep, and like 3 hours and whatever. I mean, whatever the time is that it wants to come on when you're dreaming. It'll start flashing a red light, and you train yourself to recognize that that's what that is, and you're in your dream still, and you can, all right, I'm dreaming right now, so I can fly this car, or I can jump off the building, or whatever.
Lucid.
Lucid dreaming.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't need no damn maps. My damn dreams are lucid as hell.
One of the coolest dreams I ever had was I was walking across the street, diagonally across the street, and somebody was walking diagonally across the street in the opposite direction, and it was Bob Dylan, but it was like young, white button-up shirt, black vest Bob Dylan with a big afro. Hey man, with sunglasses. And I'm like, and I walked by him and I was like, Bob Dylan, and he's like, he's like, hey man, come on man, I'm gonna show you something. And he had like a hang glider, like a hang glider. Hang glider.
Hang glider.
He was hanging, and he starts, and I then all of a sudden I got one, and I'm like running behind him, and like we're hang gliding down the street back and forth, and that was the coolest dream I ever had. Yeah, Skip.
That was his inspiration for blowing in the wind.
Yeah. I'm good.
Have a good day. Goodbye.
Lord.
You're out of here.
We lost one.
Dreams.
I always have some really crazy ones, and then I wake up and I go, and I can't remember it.
That's me.
Well,
I remember it was really crazy.
Right. You have to really dig hard to, and I love that too. I love remembering.
It's challenging.
It's just like a little piece will come back into your head for about 3 seconds.
Have you always remembered your dreams?
Well, not always, but I remember some very vividly. You know, some of my dreams are
recurrent. You have any recurrent dreams?
I don't have any recurring dreams, but the ones that stand out to me that I can remember, you know, clearly, after several years, you know, or some of them are very biblical. Yeah.
Were they reoccurring or just
No,
ones
not
that
You were just
recurring.
asking when you walked out to do whatever
Not
you were doing out
recurring,
there.
but
smoke your crack or
just
whatever.
some of my top tens, you know.
Do you have any strong recurring dreams that you
not reoccurring, but I have strong dreams that I remember from when I was little.
Yeah.
Like ones like that was one that stuck out, you know, and that one.
Mm-hmm.
But is that you?
Sorry, that was the new shoes.
The squeaking on the stool.
I have a recurring dream of sliding down this hill of mud. It's
Really?
like a dirt, steep, red clay.
And you've had this reoccurring dream for how long?
Fucking years.
Still, to this day.
It has. I mean, it only happens every few years, but I've had it multiple times.
Is it
throughout
always
my
the
life.
same or is it different?
It's like there's a contest of people trying to get up a hill or across a hill, but there's a steep hill going up, and I'm like constantly sliding down it. I don't know,
I had
Wow.
them-
like almost like a BMX or like a dirt bike track. You know what I'm saying? Like just
Yeah.
straight mud, but I don't know.
Some of
That's
my
some weird shit
uh,
to be recurring dreaming about.
favorite
That made me
dreams
think
are
of something I think I got.
steep too.
What?
But they're highways. It's always bridges or interstates. And
Like I'm
stuff. I have
sliding down this
a
hill.
lot of different dreams about interstates and stuff. Now I guess because I've traveled a
songs.
hell of a lot. in
What
my
does it
life.
mean,
I don't
man?
know. I remember going across the that bridge in just south of New Orleans. It's one of the oldest bridges, and it's narrow as hell.
Long bridge.
Well, it wasn't terribly long. It was long enough to suit me, but
New Orleans? Yeah.
and I don't think I was even driving the van that time. But we were as a group that I was in, and we were traveling out to Texas, and we went over that bridge in New Orleans. Bridges, I normally ain't scared of bridges, but
Had the voodoo.
certain ones. And there was one down at St. Petersburg back when I lived down there in about 65, 66. One between Tampa and St. Petersburg at that time was one of these. It looked like it went straight up. And Lord, I hate them bridges.
They be so long and tall.
They be so long and tall. Have mercy.
Have mercy. Lord, I hate them bridges.
Take me to the bridge.
Where's that confounded bridge?
Hey, the long one you're talking about is Lake Pontchartrain. The one above,
in New
the one
Orleans.
above New Orleans.
Yeah.
Coming down from the
Yeah.
top side, you go over this long ass lake. I don't know how many miles it
It's
is.
just long.
Cross
It's long.
this.
It's one of the longest in North America.
Yeah.
Lake
It's a
Pontchartrain.
show nuffer.
But I think it's just long and flat, ain't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a song with that in it.
There's a bunch of them.
What is that song?
Lake
new one?
Pontchartrain. Pontchartrain.
Yeah, that song. Who is that?
I know what you're talking about.
The first time I heard it, the Page Brothers covered it, and it was really good.
Man, they're good.
Yeah.
So I've been riding by this restaurant in Nahunta, close to where I'm working, and it's had Page Brothers are playing there for a month now. And every time I come, I look. Apparently, the restaurant's been closed for several months, and
And they
they're thinking I'm gonna catch Page Brothers, and it's
Wings
not,
Are Us?
Wings Are Us.
Yeah,
Probably.
it had to be.
Yeah.
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 It ain't there, but
So we can
apparently
say
Page
their
Brothers
name
was the
now.
last band to play there. We can
They're-
say their name legally.
We can say their name now. They're no longer open.
Sponsored by
Did they close down?
That's what he said.
tonight's episode. is
Apparently. Because it said Page Brothers.
It's been there since the last time I was here a month or two ago.
Page Brothers after Thanksgiving.
Friday night, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Page Brothers are great there.
Yeah, they are.
Man, they got some.
They're going to be at
brotherly soul.
They're
I was
going to be at the
disappointed
next
to
festival.
find out they were
You
not
gonna have them
actually
at Swamp
playing there
Town?
tomorrow night.
Good, good. That'll be a
Gonna go check them out.
that'll be a kick.
Yeah, that'll be
We hope to have them on
Yeah.
one of the podcasts.
When the cold black water finds its way across through your veins, it just might seal your fate. Something in the water
Cheers.
won't let me.
Here we are, down here in Waycross, the land of the trembling earth.
We're all the ways cross.
We're all the ways across.
And I tell you, I ain't from nowhere around here, but y'all some pretty cool folks down this ways.
Well, you ain't too far.
What makes you say that?
Well, I'm just saying,
I feel
there's
like
different folks all over Georgia. Georgia's a real unique
Yeah,
place.
it
You got
is,
the
it
mountains,
is. You can
got
go-
the middle, and you got the coast, and you got all in between. So it's like
Yeah.
within a 5-hour drive, you got all different lifestyles and different kinds of people.
hell, even right here, Ware County, Pierce County, it's like you can almost tell the difference between that and I mean,
Yeah.
but something about you, man. It's like when I met you, I was like, yeah, we're from the same well, you know.
Cut from the same cloth.
Well, I sure am glad to be hanging with you folks down here, and you know,
We appreciate you coming on, huh?
playing with the PBDs. I'm playing with y'all coming up some.
Yeah.
gonna be cool.
When Jody needs a family day, we got Andy sitting in with us some.
So what you got coming up next? Gig-wise, anything
Well,
special?
I've tried to not book anything, so I got a baby coming any day now.
Right.
And the wife is actually nervous about me being here right now. But
Yeah, I bet.
let's see.
I know you're playing with us.
Playing with y'all in March, I know, a few times. Playing up in the mountains, up in Saltine, first weekend of March, with the hippies, some dudes from Macon.
Yeah.
And might be playing with the Pine Box Dwellers in February at an undisclosed location. We can't tell y'all yet.
Yeah,
Still in the
it's
works.
still in the works, but it's hopefully will come true by the morning time.
You trying to get another band together? Or you just gonna do the solo thing?
I have not tried. I honestly, I have just been enjoying it. It's been about a 6 or 8 or 10 year stretch of where I was constantly in a band, and I was always the guy that was like managing or booking the band, and just constantly stressing, trying to do that at all times. And the last 6 months, I've not done that at all, and it's been great. I've been kind of like resetting my brain, and
But you've been doing that for yourself though, right? You've been booking your own.
for
thing.
sure, yeah, I've booked everything, and I've been doing a few shows here and there, but
Do you still do your duo?
every once in a while, yep, still doing the duo with Benny, Mr. Benny, Dose Blues guys.
He plays harp.
Yep, harmonica. We do some shows here and there, but I've been enjoying taking some time off and getting ready for the baby, getting the house and myself ready for the baby, because man, I tell you, after I got to give it to you, Sean, because managing and booking a band is a real stressful deal, and after doing that for 6 straight years, I was a stressed out mess. And
Yeah.
to imagine going from where I was 6 months ago to having a newborn baby, I couldn't have done it. Like, so I was glad to actually have the pause to get myself back grounded and everything. You know,
Just
so.
gonna be your first?
No, I have an
No.
11-year-old son. So
He's got 11-year-old boy. Yeah.
yep, I'm a seasoned vet, but with my wife, this is our first, and
Yeah.
we're pumped.
Well, that's great, man. Congratulations, both of y'all. We'll be saying that again. Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
we'll
a
bring the
few-
baby down
few
here as soon as
few
it's
short
born, as soon as
weeks.
it can come
Any
out.
day.
Can we interview the baby?
Yes,
Yeah.
we'll bring it down here and see what it has to say about it.
So how you think about what do you think about
I was
it?
in the other day.
Hey, baby. How you like it out here? It's cold.
Hey, baby.
What about it, Dave? What about a tale of the week?
Sure. Let's do. Let's do another tale of the week, folks. Musical insights and random memories from the mind of Uncle Dave Griffin.
Don't get no better.
Lean on that mic there, Davey.
This is called Chapter 2, Life in Tripoli, 1959. Tripoli, Libya in the late 50s was a magical, memorable place. I was all of 4 years old when we moved there in 1958. Following the liberation of Libya from German occupation during World War II, the United States leased Wheelus Air Base from the Kingdom of Libya, ruled by King Idris. Daddy was stationed there a year and a half and brought Mama, me, and my older brother Gary along. We lived off base in an apartment compound filled with the melting pot of exotic people, sights, and sounds. From the rooftop of the 2-story apartment building where Mama hung the clothes to dry and our birthday parties were celebrated, you could look north and see the gold dome of King Idris's palace gleaming in the African sun. To the east, over the wall that surrounded the compound, there were palm trees scattered in the sand and a small railroad track that carried a little diesel train blowing thick black smoke as it went. From our balcony, we would also see Arab citizens going about their daily routines, drop to their knees in prayer several times a day. On the west side of the compound was a main street lined with horse-drawn carriages called Gary Ann's, parked along the curb and used as taxis in the city of Tripoli, where old world and new world collided. Daddy had a handheld 8mm camera that stamped in my brain forever silent movie memories of our time in North Africa. An Arab lady named Fatima, dressed in a colorful flowering garment and beating on the goatskin head of a ceramic drum. Picnicking and hunting Easter eggs in Banana Village just outside the wall of Mussolini's summer home. Stranded visionless on the highway while a Ghibli, a sandstorm, thick clouds of wind-blown sand pelted our station wagon. We traveled a lot on weekends, taking in the Roman ruins at Sabratha and Leptis Magna, beach trips to the aromatic blue-green waters of the Mediterranean Sea, or rolling down the majestic sand dunes of the Sahara Desert. Despite the foreign culture and ancient history surrounding me, it seemed like a fairly ordinary life to this little South Georgia boy. We still had our cowboy outfits and Wild West imaginations. Mama still fried chicken, Southern style. The record player in our apartment still played Marty Robbins, Johnny Cash, and Hank Sr., and we added to the family when my sister Debbie was born there on January 7th, 1960. Her birth certificate was issued in Sukajuma, and remarkably to this day, she's as white as I am. The most American thing about Tripoli was Wheelus Air Base. As an airman attached to the Strategic Air Command, it was where Daddy went to work and earned a living every day. Mama shopped at the commissary and the base exchange. Gary and I picked out dinkies, matchbox-sized toy cars at Toyland. Halloween carnivals were held inside a huge airplane hangar on the base. Trips to the Oasis ice cream parlor were regular. We ate American cheeseburgers at the Mirage, and the NCO Club served breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But it was the base movie theaters that captivated my young heart. The base theater was your standard movie house with theater seats and sloping aisles. The other was simply an Air Force hangar with folding chairs, where I remember seeing Jerry Lewis and Sad Sack. It was the movies at the base theater that stand out most in my memory. I was angry at the man who shot and killed Bambi's mother, not realizing that I was the enemy. I was moved by the audio-visual combination of the king of the cowboys, Roy Rogers, on the back of Trigger, jumping over a bramble log out of the big screen while the Sons of the Pioneers sang, "Don't Fence Me In." I was scared to death when Kirk Douglas's left eye was clawed out by Tony Curtis's Falcon in the Vikings. I was thrilled by the high-speed chases between Robert Mitchum and the Revenuers in the moonshine epic Thunder Road. I would hang on every word and each note of the unforgettable movie theme songs in The Hanging Tree and The Legend of Tom Dooley. But the one that appealed to me the most was a Walt Disney film, Old Yeller, the story of a boy and his dog. The movie starred Fess Parker, who I recognized from TV as Davy Crockett, Chuck Connors, the rifleman, Tommy Kirk as Travis, and Kevin Corcoran as Little Arliss. Over the years, I've shared this classic with my children and grandchildren. Old Yeller was my childhood favorite. It dealt with the responsibilities of growing older and the loss of something that you love. Filmed in beautiful Technicolor, it was a lot like growing up in Tripoli, Libya, where the blues were bluer, the greens were greener, and real life never paled in comparison.
Sir.
Thank you, Dave.
Good
Thank
story.
you,
Yes,
Andy.
sir. And so it was.
When the cold black water finds its way across through your veins, it just might seal your fate. It just a smile.